Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This episode is going to be super exciting because we're moving new corals into my system. I'm going to show you exactly how I do things when the corals arrive at your door and how I move them into my system. I've been doing it this way for a number of years now and I've had quite a high success rate, so I'm going to share with you exactly how I do it. We're going to go from box to unpacking to checking the corals and how I eventually get them into my tank. These frags came from Signature Frags. They are a coral farm in the UK and they specialise in high-end corals. They do LPS and SPS. But look at the colour of these corals. These have been in the tank for about 5 minutes now and they're already showing polyp extension. They're looking super healthy. Here is their website. It's very easy to use. You just choose the corals that you like and they also post into the UK. But they've got some real stunning SPS corals here, proper high-end stuff. I've used Signature Frags before a number of times and I've got some of my real high-end pieces. So the Fox Flame came from here, the Pink Lemonade. I've also got the Juggernaut from here and the Pikachu, some of my favourite corals. Okay, let's get into the video and show you exactly how we're going to put these corals into my tank. So they come with an instruction guide. It's pretty similar to how I do things. If you post corals, this is exactly how you should do it. The box is still warm. The heat packs are on the outside, not inside, so they're not cooking the corals. Also got a little hole in the box so the oxygen can get to the heat packs to keep them warm. I'm going to go through this little bit pretty quickly just so you can see exactly how they come. I don't want to cut the video because this is real time me opening the box. There's 4 corals in this box, so I'm going to pull the first bag out. There's 2 corals in here. Look at the amount of water that it shipped in. That's absolutely brilliant for the acros because they are very sensitive, so they need a lot of water. I'm going to check the corals, make sure that there's no cloudiness. They're looking healthy, and now I'm going to put them into the sump and let the temperature just come up to where it should be. This is the second bag coming out. I can feel the heat on my hands, so the corals are looking pretty good. Another trick is to put the bag up against the light of the tank and you can see exactly how the corals are doing. So I got 2 boxes in total, so there's 8 corals in here now and they're just coming up to temperature. I'm going to leave them in here for about 20 minutes, but we are in a race against time because we need to get these corals out of their bags because acros do get quite stressed in shipping. While they're sitting in the sump, we can now get everything ready that we need to get ready to put the corals into the tank. Okay, I've run out of space on my frag rack, so I've had to quickly make one out of a Tonzi magnet and an old frag rack. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. Now we need to get these corals out of the bags. So I'm just going to cut them and put them into this bucket. So all the water from the corals, they're all going to go into this bucket. I'm just going to quickly inspect them, have a little look. But they're in little plastic cups, which is good, so it's protecting the corals. This is an easier view to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm basically just cutting the bag, letting the water come out and putting the corals in this bucket. Now we need to get the flow around the corals because they have been stressed in shipping overnight. But yeah, they're looking pretty healthy. They're looking pretty good. And here's my setup, how I do this. So I've got the bucket one end, so this is the dirty side. I've seen that one of the frags has come off its frag plug, so I've put some frag plugs there. I've got my glue, my toothbrush. This bit here is for dipping. I put a little bit of dip in there. I put 3 mils for 3 litres, so it's very lightly dipped. And then I've got some fresh water from the tank. And we're going to move this way all the way into my tank. Okay, Signature Frags recommend potassium dip, and so do I. I normally go potassium dip, but I've run out this time, so I've got this NIOS dip. And like I said, I've only put 3 mils in a 3 litre volume, so it's a very light dip because we do not want to stress these corals out. And Signature Frags is very good for how they look after their corals and assure me that there's no pests on these. But they can't be 100% sure, but they're 99.9% sure there's nothing on these. So I'm going to put the first coral into the dip. It's not going to be in there long at all. What I'm doing here is just mixing around the water. This is the one that's come off its frag plug. That's not a problem. That happens in shipping all the time. It actually is quite handy because now I don't have to dip that plug. So I'll put that back in the bucket and I'll quickly glue him onto one of my fresh frag plugs, and he's going to have a quick dip. This is a Tunzi glue. I really like this stuff. It's more jelly and, you know, it works really well with the frags. Okay, that's pretty much there now. I need to get back to the one that's in the dip. I'm going to give that a bit of a turkey baste. Make sure nothing's coming off it. I'm just going to grab the camera and give you a close-up look in the dip. There we go. There's hardly anything coming off that. It looks so clean already. But that's me just turkey basting the frag plug. Just checking nothing's coming off it. I'm going to move that over to my tank water. That's another thing I forgot to mention. There's no need to acclimate corals. You can literally take the coral straight out of the water it's in and then move it over to your tank water. I've been doing that for a number of years and I've never lost any corals doing it that way. Also, this is me showing you how I'm doing it with Signature Frags corals, which are very good and pest free. If I was doing this with, say, a coral I'm not too sure of and I brought it from someone else, then there's no way that I'd be moving a frag plug across into my tank. The whole thing would be coming off. I would cut actually live skin of the coral and I'd dip it a lot longer with a higher concentration of dip as well. And if it didn't survive, it didn't survive. I'd rather that happen than putting some questionable coral into my tank. Especially at the stage my tank's at now, I've got some really high-end big corals. There's no way I'm going to risk it on a small frag. Whereas these are very good. This is the one that I've re-glued. So this is going to take, you know, maybe just a couple of minutes in the dip. Just give it a swirl around and then that can go straight into my tank water. Okay, let's move the next 3 corals into the dip. You can see there's quite a good volume of water in the dip and also the tank water, because you don't want to be in a small volume of water. These corals need the flow. They need to come around and get into the system. You can't get distracted with this. This is a real military operation how I do this. You've also got to make sure that the water's moving around the corals, not just in the dip but also in the bucket with the tank water in it and the fresh corals. You leave them in there too long and they're going to start suffering. We need to get these frags into the tank as quickly as possible. Here's the last 3 corals. I'm just going to speed this up because we've seen a bit now. The last one is a really nice Montipora. I think it's the brain freeze. It's real pink. Okay, these frag plugs aren't easy to cut, so I can't just cut the frag plug. So I'm going to see if I can get the Monty off the frag plug, and I'm going to glue it onto a flat piece so I can put it on the bottom of my tank with the rest of the Monties. But these corals are looking really good. There's nothing coming off them. There's nothing really in the dip water. This is the Monty that I was talking about. I'm just going to get my cutters and I'm just going to see if I can nip it off. It broke. It came into 2 pieces. That's not a problem. I'm going to glue it to this disc. And then I'm going to put that in as well. Now that's all the frags been dipped and into my tank water. So there's another stage you can go here now. You can then take that into the sunlight, get your phone out and have a really good inspection of the corals. You can zoom in and you can pretty much see everything within your iPhones. Or then you would go and put them in a quarantine tank if you had a quarantine tank. Unfortunately, I don't have a quarantine tank. Everything from now has to go into my tank. And my first impression when I got the coral under the blue lights is absolute wow. That is a real special coral. And the frag rack seems to be working as well, which is good. And that's the Montipora. I'm going to put the Montipora on the base of the tank. It needs less light, and that's where my Monties are. You can see the copper band already going straight around the corals, having a little look. I've had to use a flipper magnet to keep the whole thing onto the glass. Wow, look at this coral. Absolutely amazing. I'm not going to go through all their names now, but just look at the colours of these corals. And the polyps are already out. These have been in my tank for less than 5 minutes. I've just grabbed the camera, turned the flow off, just so you can see. And this is the quality of signature frags. I would say they're some of the best corals in the UK. You can see the polyps are already extending. This is the Montipora that I broke. It's not a problem, I've glued it down, it's on a disc. And look at the colours of these corals. Absolutely amazing. And they're going to look awesome in my tank. Just want to give a shout out to Signature Frags, and I want to show how good their frags are. You know, a picture paints 1,000 words. I mean, look at these corals. And this is the dirty side. So this is all the stuff that's left over. We've got the plastic. We've got some frag plugs in there. Most of the stuff that's in the dip is the stuff when I cracked open the Monty. A lot of that stuff sort of burst off the frag plug. If you wanted to be really geeky now, you could get out your microscope and just have a look at bits and pieces under that and see what's gone in. But this is the last container, and there's nothing in the last container. So that dip is pretty good. And that is how I move corals from the box, the shipping, into my tank. And I've been doing it this way for a number of years, and it's been quite successful. I haven't lost many corals at all. I do one of these videos every week, so please subscribe and follow along with how these frags get on in my system. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.